Hello, today I'm doing a response to Joanne of Relax for a While. Joanne has a wonderful ASMR channel and she mentioned me in a recent video. The video was celebrating her 50th birthday and Joanne talked about aging and mentioned several older ASMR artists, me being one of those. I have a cup of tea here, and in response to Joanne, I wanted to explore aging, how we feel about aging, and what aging actually means. I have a lovely cup of English breakfast. It's just divine, just divine. As you know, I'm 52 in December, and I have been on YouTube since I was about 45. If you hear pitter-pattering, our cat and our rabbit, both who live inside, are not happy with each other at the moment. So you may hear them. Yes, I can hear it. They're chasing each other, which is quite funny, but also quite loud. Joanne said in her video that she felt some concerns about getting older. I don't know if concerns is the right word, but it's the word I choose to use at this time. So I was going to talk about how I feel about aging. Joanne has a fantastic channel. It's really well done. So if you want to look at some videos on sleep therapy and relaxation and some lovely relaxing vlogs, then head on over to her channel, Relax for a While. And her name is Joanne. I just love a cup of tea. Just love it, love it. I don't know if it's aging per se. I don't know if you can put aging in a box and point to it and say, this is a concern, I'm aging. For me, anyway, it's more complex than that. Aging is so many things. If we take aging out of the box and we put it on the table, and we're going to sit around this table, and in the middle of the table is the issue of aging, and we're going to take a cold, hard look at what that means to age. Is there an age that's unacceptable, and is there an age that is acceptable? I don't think so. Aging is one of the things that we do that is judged, assessed, and analysed by the rest of society, by our friends, by our associates. And here is one of the issues. People judge inappropriately. So there's the friends, the associates, the community that judge inappropriately what aging actually means. And we may choose to be affected by what they say about aging. And to be absolutely honest, I am affected by what my associates, friends, colleagues, society say about aging. Then there is what the media says about aging. Magazines, TV, the internet. It's what the media says about aging. Because our age gives people credence, or they feel it gives them credence, to judge us, to put us in categories, in boxes, to write us off as too old, past it, over the hill, senior. Go and get your seniors meals. Once I reached 50, I qualified for cheap meals at the pub. And you know what? That actually bothered me. I didn't want to qualify for cheap meals at the pub because I'm not senior. Well, I actually am. I'm over 50. But I didn't like the label because the label comes with judgment from so many. How do you feel about your age? How do you really feel about your age? Think about it for a moment. How do you feel about being 22, 26, 30, 37 and a half, 42, 57, 67? Yesterday, my mum turned 80. We had an amazing party. It was so lovely. My mum doesn't look 80, and she doesn't act 80. She's a real matriarch. What is a matriarch? A matriarch is a female leader, a leader of a lineage. So the matriarch may have a daughter and grandchildren, maybe great-grandchildren under her. A matriarch is a senior female in the family. My mother is definitely our matriarch. She's extremely assertive, very smart, and so ready to say what she thinks in any situation, which doesn't always go down well, but her advice is always wise and always loving. And let's face it, we need our friends and our family to tell us the truth as it really is, rather than decorate it up in a bow. We need to hear home truths from the ones we love. And that's what my mum does. But she doesn't act like she's 80. She gets around, she goes out to lunch, she plays cards with her friends. She has hobbies and interests. She dances the tango. She's an amazing person. And that's why we're an amazing family. All age does for my mother is perhaps her skin shows signs of age. But you know what else her skin shows signs of? The marks in her skin, the texture, the lines, the crevices, if you will, they show her life, her coping, her resilience. Each line tells a story, an amazing story of courage, of strength, of resolution, of moving forward, of being present, of reflecting. As we age, we have a book under our arm. And as we age, the book gets bigger and bigger, only if we're lucky. The bigger our book grows, it indicates the longer we've lived. The more wrinkles we have, the longer we've lived, the luckier we are. The more experiences we've had, the more experiences we can reflect upon. We carry these in a metaphorical book under our arm. At times we can choose to sit down and look through the book and enjoy the book. It's about reflecting, not resenting. It's about reminiscing, not regretting. We have a metaphorical book under our arm of amazing stories of our experiences. We fear aging, or we may fear aging, perhaps because of the stories or the way we perceive the stories in our book under our arm, or the way society, associates, people we know, society judge aging. Some judge aging as no longer having worth, past it. Do you know in a lot of societies around the world, aging is seen as a mark of achievement, demanding or requiring respect and esteem. In our Western society, it's generally not seen this way. Across all parts of society, many see aging as having less worth. But it doesn't matter what the many say. It doesn't matter what the many say. It matters. It matters what you think about your age, how you process your age, and what matters more. What matters more is how you see the stories in your book. Do you know you can rewrite your stories? You can take out a story. So do so right now. Take out a story out of your book. Place it on the table. Have a look at it. There are good points in that story, and there may be not so good points. I want you to really focus and explore the good points. Imagine that they're Play-Doh and you're teasing them out, making them larger. The good feelings, the good values, the smiles that story elicits in your life. Appreciate that story. Enjoy that story. You can choose to minimize the negatives. You don't have to ignore them, deny them, or forget them. Just choose to turn away and minimize them. Choose to explore the good parts of the story. It's your choice. Your choice how to see your story. As we grow older, we tend to want ticks in our stories, in our book. We like ticks. Humans like the ability to be able to tick, just doing it with a pen here, tick achievements in our life. We might want to tick finishing school, getting a job, getting married, having children. Instinctively, we are driven to achieve as human beings. Instinctively, we like others to approve of our achievements. We like to tick. Tick, I have a 2-story house with a white picket fence. Tick, I am celebrating my 10th wedding anniversary. Tick, my son has just started school. Tick, I have completed a certificate, a degree. Tick, I have completed my garden. Tick, 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 tick. Life is full of ticks. But you know what? Sometimes stuff happens. And the ticks are thrown all over the place. And perhaps they're negated or undone. Sometimes we can reach 50, 55, 70, and our partner leaves us. Sometimes we may lose a job for no good reason. Sometimes there may be an issue with a partner, a child. Sometimes life bears chronic illness. I am a little bit of an existentialist. Yes, I like Albert Camus. I love the book The Plague. Existentialism is saying that life can sometimes be irrational, absurd. I believe that we can choose to feel happy. I believe that we have a lot of power over the course of our life, but not infinite power. The only power we have, truly, is the power over our own minds, most of the time. We can create happiness by controlling and guiding and adjusting our cognitions. This gives us quite a lot of leeway of power. But there is always the absurd. Accidents, illness, loss, and other people's choices. We can only look at our own choices. We cannot look at other people's choices. They walk their journey and we walk ours. And sometimes these journeys coincide. There are parallels. We have friendships. When we have friendships or partnerships or relationships, our stories coincide in parts, not in wholes. We never truly know other people, as they never truly know us. So the role of acceptance is significant in aging. The ability to know someone for 50 years and then accept change. The ability to adjust to loss is part of aging. If you have been listening to a lot of my work, you'll know, and I'm sure most of you know, that my marriage ended. And one of the points of that process, which was really tough, was I kept saying, it's not supposed to be this way. I had built a business, I had a lovely dream house, and I loved my husband. I kept saying, it's not supposed to be that way. If we, as we grow older, say the words, it's not supposed to be that way, we lose opportunity. There, of course, needs to be periods where we adjust to life, loss, recover, mourn, grieve. These are healthy processes. But when we say, and we do at times, it's not supposed to be that way, well, it's not supposed to be anyway. Fact. Our lives have a start, our mortal lives, and an end. How do we want to experience that life? Relationships are not forever. They are not forever. Experiences change moment by moment, so all we have is right now. Perhaps society sees beauty as skin deep. Perhaps society, or Western society, does not respect an older person. But we don't have to listen to them. We choose whether we're going to listen. Just as my mother is an amazing matriarch, we choose how to be at any age. What do you choose? I agree with ticks, or having ticks, or ticking boxes in life. It's a good feeling. Tick, I've changed the beds. Tick, I've celebrated my 10th wedding anniversary. Tick, my daughter has got into a particular theatre production. Ticks are good. They give you a warm, fuzzy feeling. But nothing is a certainty. By focusing on the positive, we draw positive. Yes, the law of attraction. But we cannot require it. We cannot force it. And it is not a foregone conclusion. So if you truly don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, if you know that your relationship is not forever, if you truly know everything can change, how are you going to be now? I mentioned in a recent creation that we had a hard time, a challenging time last week due to a family issue. And what that taught me, really taught me, kind of like a mallet over the head, is to be grateful. I keep thinking that I am grateful, and then something doesn't go to plan, and I realize that I can work on my ritual of feeling grateful. I can be more grateful than I am. And with gratitude comes compassion. With compassion comes empathy. And with the practice of gratitude, compassion and empathy comes contentment. If we forgive all, if we feel compassion for all, we are much more likely to feel happiness. Much more likely to feel happiness. These are practices that we can practice daily in our life. They require concentration, deliberation, and discipline. Do you practice gratitude? Do you feel grateful? Truly grateful? I tend to think I do, and then something happens and I realize, no, there is a whole new level of gratitude that I'm going to work towards. We fear aging because it may increase the judgment of others, and it may decrease our perception of value. But it is our choice, our choice. Even in acting now in Hollywood, we see older actors doing really well. Why? Because they chose it. But the choice, the pathway of choice, is not an easy one, because there is always the weaker souls who judge. It is a weaker soul who judges, a soul who lacks awareness, who lacks a sense of self, who lacks direction, who judges others. Why would we internalize the opinion of someone who lacks a sense of self? What a waste. All we have is now, and every line your face bears stands as testament to who you are. So who are you? And what is that story you hold under your arm? If I open your story, is it full of colour or full of dark? It's your choice. You know why? Because you took out the paints and you chose whether to use yellow, brilliant orange, or shades of grey in your story. And you choose how to recall, reflect upon your story, reminisce. Our minds are ever powerful. Our reflections can bring us learnings and happiness. What do they bring you? How do you feel about your reflections? Being older is just a number, that is correct. And it is just time upon your skin. But it is also the opinion of others. And it is challenging to stand against that. But it is possible to define yourself. The more you grow in awareness, the more you can stand firm against aging. The more you grow in awareness, the more you can feel a sense of satisfaction with aging. I am older. Look at what my children have achieved. I am older. Look where I live. I am older. Look at my garden. The spring is past. Oh, the garden is beautiful. You decide. You decide. It is only Western society which truly discriminates against older adults. There are so many societies across the world that respect older adults. So what do you choose to do? I choose to see my mother as amazing. I choose to see myself as resilient for moving through a marriage ending and finding new opportunity. I choose to use aging to grow, learn, develop, and forgive myself, forgive others. I've enjoyed speaking with you. I've enjoyed looking at your book. I have here something for you. I'll just hand it to you. In this cup, I have colourful textures, pencils, crayons. I'm going to give you this cup, and I want you to colour your stories with the bright colours and enjoy the process. Will you do that for me, please? I'd like you to use reds and yellows, the colours that make you feel good. Rewrite your stories so that when you reflect upon them, you feel good. There is always a way to look back on stories and see the possibility, the opportunity. I've enjoyed speaking with you. I've enjoyed reflecting upon your stories. And I just love the lines in your face. When you smile and your face crinkles somewhat at the corners of your eyes, it makes me feel good. If you didn't have lines in your face, you would have no sense of self, no personality, no experiences. Your lines tell a beautiful story, and I'm privileged to partake and listen to your story. All we have is today. Let's live our story with colourful, colourful paints. Let's colour our lives at any age at all.